How's everybody doing, first of all? You guys good? This is like the home stretch. You've been here for 2 days. God knows what's been droning on and on. Lunch is just kind of settling in. It's Friday afternoon. I will hopefully make this worth your time. I appreciate you all being here. As previously advertised, my name is Aaron Thompson. I did found a company called Portland Customer Success about a year ago, and we do customer success specific consulting. We're kind of a chief customer officer as a service. There's the beginning of my deck. There we go. So who the hell is this guy? I am a Portland native, which is hard to find nowadays. Early in my life here in Portland, nobody was from Portland, and I traveled all over the country, and nobody knew where Portland was. And now everybody is not from Portland, and I travel all over the country, and everybody knows where Portland is. Thank you to, what's his name, Fred Armisen and Portlandia for putting us on the map. So I've been here basically my whole life. I grew up an hour south of here at the state capital, Salem, Oregon. And I've lived in Portland proper since 2000, actually graduated college here. Like I said, and like Dave said, I founded a company. It's called Portland Customer Success. Chief Customer Officer as a service. I work with early stage startups who aren't ready to hire a customer success head or lead or VP yet, and I'll come in and do it on a much different scale, but help them lay the groundwork early so that they don't have churn problems. I'm also an associate partner at a company called Success Hacker. We are the only nationally recognized certification in customer success. So think of early Scrum Master days and people getting the certification on what was then new, which is called Agile, and that whole Scrum, methodology of project management. That's what we do with customer success at Success Hacker. 16 different cities in the second half of the year. It's a 2-day course. You get a national cert, goes on your LinkedIn profile, and basically helps you get a job in customer success. And then what I'm here to talk about most specifically is my most recent company called RevDev. And I was a co-founder and a co-creator of the RevDev Blueprint, Revenue Development Blueprint. And that's what I'm going to walk you through here today, specific to support. And what we did was we came up with a methodology of how to grow a business, again, targeted at B2B SaaS companies. And we looked at how to develop from lead to evangelist, not only a consistent customer experience, but actually being specific with our ROI and our spend in our investment from marketing to sales to ultimately customer success and support, more specifically. I was the head of customer success at an early stage startup here in town called Foretel. We do predictive data analytics. I was also a manager of technical account management at Jive software here in Portland as well. As aforementioned, my son's name's Henry, my dog's name's Simba. That's a confusing name for a dog. Luckily, it's not for a young boy, but poor dog's named after a cat. I don't know. It wasn't my idea. Latest passion, stand-up paddleboarding. I look something like this on a stand-up paddleboard. It is the most ridiculous, embarrassing thing. I will never go with any friends, family, or otherwise. I like to be out there solo because I'm getting started. So what is revenue development? Revenue development is very specific, okay? So I'm gonna break it down into 5 different things, or 4 different things, specifically strategic. So it is intentional and based on your hypothesis of your business and your go-to-market strategy. So I loved Blake's talk earlier about what he's doing at HubSpot, specifically number 5. His 5th bullet point was that everyone understands the business. No matter where you are in the organization, it's important for you to understand the business and the direction of the business. And he was speaking from a culture standpoint. I'm now going to speak from a revenue development standpoint, why that's also important. When we're in support, we're often considered back of the house, post-sale, what have you. That all changed when subscription-based pricing modeling went into play. Now we are the starting line for how we're going to get revenue from our customers. And we'll talk about that as we unpack this blueprint. But as we do that, we need to know our go-to-market strategy and our buyer hypothesis. So who do we think we're going to sell to, and what pain point do we think we're going to solve? Those things have to be really front of mind for everybody in the organization, ergo strategic. Predefined, we got to figure this out beforehand. This isn't something that we do reactively. This is a proactive strategy that we're going to implement in our business. prescriptive. It needs to solve a problem. If you're going to do revenue development, there's got to be a problem. Oftentimes, I'm approached by founders who come and say, we have a churn problem. And it ends up they don't have a churn problem, they have a marketing problem because they're marketing to the wrong market and selling to the wrong customer, and then they can't keep them. But it's not really a churn problem. It's actually way higher in the funnel. So understanding what the actual problem is and how do you prescribe that and fix that, you want to be intentional and specific about that. And then finally, growth-minded. This is huge. I would advocate for this in all of life. If you are growth-minded, it means that you are not afraid to fail. It means that you're looking to change. And if you are fixed mindset, it means you want to keep things, what is it? Not apropos, but the same, right? You want to keep it. You don't want change. I don't want to fail. I want to remain the same. I'm sure that came to somebody's mind, but it just escaped mine. So you must be growth-minded, and you'll understand why. Basically, this, like our Constitution, is a living document. This is something that is designed to be iterative and be changed as time goes on. That's what makes the Revenue Development Blueprint special, and frankly, our Constitution, I believe. How does support impact revenue development? Support has historically been considered a cost center. It is an operations expense. And when I talked about my experience at Jive in the premium support side of things, we actually found a way to make it profitable. We found a way to almost fund the entire organization based on premium, customers paying for a higher level of support for a technical account manager. And that was revolutionary to me. It literally changed my career. It changed the direction I was going with everything when I realized you can take what has historically been an overhead expense and make it a profit-generating part of your business. And that's exactly what the Revenue Development Blueprint does, and that's what this is where support plays in. So this is a traditional funnel. I assume we've all seen the traditional sales funnel. You've got a whole bunch of marketing at the top, that becomes a few customers at the bottom, and then ideally you get them to buy more and expand their footprint with you and their spend with you. But this is also, we'll get into it. So the legend here, marketing is the red up at the top, demand gen and awareness. Sales is the green, the evaluation and decision-making process, and then support is the blue. And you can see how critical support is in the overall revenue development of the business just by looking at the amount of color and how this all breaks down in the strategy. This is divided up into 7 different playbooks. It always messes me up because we start with 0. That's the thing nowadays, right? There's always step 0 with everything. So the first playbook we call All Systems Go, and I'll kind of unpack that in a second. The next is Get to the Disco. That's getting to the discovery call in your sales process. The third is Teaming Up. That's when you actually close a deal and how you shepherd that process. The fourth is Stuck on You. That's support and customer success and getting that customer to be sticky. We always hear about that. The fifth is But Wait, There's More. Anybody remember Ron Popeil and that kind of stuff, right? Like late night infomercials, like the Mr. Microphone and the rotisserie chicken cooker thing, and like the mops and all the crap you see on late night. Maybe it's just me. But wait, there's more. That's when they're actually upselling. They're buying more of your products, goods, services, whatever you sell, or they're actually bringing in net new customers through advocacy channels, which is really the holy grail. We'll talk about that in a second as well. Fifth is Leveling Up. That's that shepherding of that expansion sales process. And then finally, sixth is Narrowing the Target, and that is really where the rubber meets the road and where support can drive bottom line ROI for your marketing department all the way back up at the top of the funnel. So let me unpack some of this and what this would actually do for a business when implemented. You get a greater marketing ROI because you're marketing to more specific, correct tactical markets and segments. And I'll talk about that. You have a decrease in your sales cycle, so you're closing deals faster. You have an increase in your overall conversion rate because you're getting warmer leads and you're marketing to better targets. You have a decrease in your customer acquisition cost, or CAC. If you are paying less to acquire a customer, you are now profitable with them sooner from the get-go. If I have to pay a bunch of money to get a customer, I better keep them for a long time before they're actually profitable. And if they churn or leave before that, I actually lost money on that customer. But if I can drive down my acquisition cost, if they don't stay as long, I can still be profitable faster, sooner, more effectively. And then finally, overall customer lifetime value, or LTV, driving that up through the roof, keeping customers as long as we can, which is ultimately why we're all here today, right? That's what support is all about, retention. But there are 3 different revenue streams with customer success, and we can get into that later. But let's talk about all systems go. So the first playbook is, you can see it's red, green, and blue up at the top, PB0. And what this means is all systems go is designed to be developed by the entire organization, and this is your ideal customer persona hypothesis. When you go to market with a product, you generally have a pain point that you're looking to alleviate, but you don't necessarily know how it's actually going to be used. I think you've probably seen this in your experience. A customer's using your product beyond what it was intended for, or maybe for a different purpose, or they're actually expanding in ways that you never imagined. I did. I've seen this. I had a story. I went to New York to meet with a very large bank who was using Jive back in the day, and to my amazement, they used it in a way that we never, ever, ever intended. So I'm sitting there in the financial district in New York City, and they're showing me how they use our product, and it blew me away. I was able to come back to home base and say, we've got a whole new marketing opportunity. We didn't even know that we could use this product this way. Let's go target other big banks for that use case. And you get that because you're close to the customer when you're in support. You get to see that insight that product or engineering may not. Okay? So that's why we're vital in creating that ideal customer persona hypothesis and identifying who are we going to market to. And then moving into playbook 3, so as we get through the funnel, we get a customer. Now we're going to activate that customer, i.e. get them live, optimize that customer, i.e. have them using our products and services as well as they can, and then ideally, renewal. That should be a byproduct of everything else that we're doing. There shouldn't be a surprise when a customer renews. It should be expected, and that's in playbook 3. That's just wheelhouse for what we do in support. I mean, that's us every single day. Playbook 4 is, but wait, there's more. This is your expansion. This is where we can bring in additional revenue. So in support, there are 3 revenue streams. If you think about sales, there's really one. Let me see how I'm doing on time. I got 7 minutes, perfect. In sales, you have net new revenue. That's it. Bringing in new logos, right? Sometimes they're in charge of renewals maybe, or come into play with that. Sometimes they do it really late in the sales cycle, and they come in like for the last quarter. And so how's it going? Let's get you to renew, right? Here's the paperwork. Let's get you to sign. That's all net new. It's all just sort of top of funnel, new logos, acceleration, velocity. You hear all those terms. That's one revenue stream. In support, we have 3. Retaining customers, that's wheelhouse, key core competency for us, right? If we're churning customers, that means we're not doing something right as a business, okay? Expanding customers, surfacing up those opportunities where they have a pain point and you have a solution that you can sell, and they can then buy that, and they can be, number 1, more successful on your product, and number 2, pay attention to how I said that, number 1, more successful on your product, more successful for them, and number 2, more successful for us. That's the most important thing, keeping their goals, their desired outcomes in mind, and sometimes that means buying something else from you. If you're selling good products and good services, there's probably going to be expansion opportunities that you can surface up. And then 3 is advocacy, and this is the golden ticket of customer success and customer support. If that customer loves you so much that they go bring in a net new customer for you, and you didn't have to market it at the top of that funnel, their acquisition cost is 1/10 what it is up at the top. You're profitable on that customer 10 times faster, quick math, 10 times faster on that customer, and thus the lifetime value is going to be higher because you didn't have that overhead of acquiring the customer in the first place. So we have 3 revenue streams. We have retention, expansion, and renewal, where sales has 1. And this is all based on subscription-based pricing methodologies and economics. About 10 years ago, Salesforce, this little company down in San Francisco, started getting really popular, and they were bringing on net new customers like crazy, but they were also churning them because there was a very low barrier of entry. It became very easy to buy their software compared to everybody else, where you had to buy servers, pay for professional services, install on-premise software. Once it moved to the cloud, everything changed. The tail now wags the dog. The sale is the starting line. It's not the finish line like it used to be. They pay very little up front. We have to get all that lifetime value after the fact, and that's why we're so critical to revenue development in support, okay? Playbook 6, narrowing the target. I talked earlier about my experience in New York. This is exactly that. Being close to the customer means we're going to find those nuanced use cases that nobody ever thought of, and we can surface that back up to marketing so that we don't continue to market to the same industries or same market segments or same verticals over and over and over again. We actually get more refined with how we spend our marketing dollars. Thus, we get a higher ROI because we're learning from our experience. But if support doesn't surface that up through what we called Playbook 6, narrowing the target, marketing is just going to keep marketing to who they thought they were going to originally. But as we get a year, 5 years, 10 years into the business, it's our job to make that more and more efficient. Okay? Let's see, what else we got? Oh, whoops. And then finally, obviously, the customer. We know the customer better than anybody in the organization. We work with the customer more consistently, both on a tactical and reactive kind of support side of things, as well as a strategic and proactive customer success side of things. Okay? Let's see, so in summary, here's how we drive revenue. And this is, real boardroom CEO discussions of the shift in the economy. Again, I can't stress this enough. It's predicated on how business has changed with the surfacing of the cloud and software as a service. In fact, anything as a service. Cars are a service now with Car2Go. Razor blades are a service now with Dollar Shave Club. Netflix, Spotify, Trunk Club. There's an auto mechanic on the east side who does subscription-based auto work. You pay $15 a month, and you never have to pay for another oil change. Air filter, windshield wipers. It's on a subscription. Every economy is moving to this, and that makes support more and more important as time goes on, because it's a different world. We don't buy products, we buy services. We buy subscriptions now. Closer to the customer means greater customer centricity. We are uniquely able to narrow the target, as described, with surfacing in that Playbook 6 and bringing all that information back up to marketing. Customer advocacy and expansion equals faster deals. If they're bringing us a customer, we didn't have to market to them, and they are way higher, way more likely to close than a cold call who came through our traditional marketing channels. Retention is king, subscriptions rule all. Can't stress that enough. It is a completely different world now than it was 10 years ago, and it goes beyond tech. Everything is moving into this. And then the ideal customer persona hypothesis and iteration, getting better at who we market to, narrowing that target, and identifying, you know what? There's some cool ways to use our stuff that we never even thought of, and thank goodness that we listen to our customers to hear it. I think that's it. Yeah. There's my stuff. Aaron Thompson CS on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. I'm going to stick around at 4:30 if anybody'd like to talk more about this. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have at that point. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aaron.